Do you know the 4 agreements?
No, but I do. I want to.
Yeah. So it's always do your best, be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, don't take it personally.
That's the 4th.
So that's the 4th one.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Doctor, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I always like to start these off with like really tough questions. So if it's okay with you, I'm just gonna dive right in.
Just jump right in.
Okay. Are you somebody who hits the snooze bar?
Am I somebody who hits the snooze bar?
Yes.
What I do is I set the alarm for 2 times, 5:30 and then 6. So
Okay.
at 5:30, I get up and I turn the coffee on. So I make sure that that part's it. And then I have a half an hour to get myself ready to get up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like hitting the snooze bar.
That's smart because if you don't get up, then your coffee's gonna get cold.
Right.
Oh, okay.
No, it's one of those thermal pots. So
Oh,
it
it
stays
is.
hot
So it
for a
stays
while.
warm. So you still
So
gotta
some
get
days
up.
when I'm not working, I may
Yeah.
not get up that early.
Oh,
But those are
okay.
my work days. I do that.
I'm a unfortunately a snooze bar
Yeah.
person. You know, my wife will say, you know, what time you got to get up, and I'll say, 6, and
Right.
she'll say, does that mean I have to get up at 6 and 6:08 and 6:16, right? Because it's every 8
It's
minutes.
every 8 minutes.
It's ridiculous. So, unfortunately, it's something I struggle with. I feel like I
Yeah.
always have.
Yeah.
I wish I could say, because I love what I do, and I wish I could say, like, I wake up and I'm,
Yeah.
boom, let's go. But
Right.
I just love sleep.
Yeah, you do. I stay up late. I'm a late.
Same.
Yeah. I always say I'm going to go to bed early, but then I get that second wind.
Yeah.
And I'll stay up late. So.
Isn't it funny? Because sometimes I'll be really sleepy,
Yeah.
7:30, and the idea of going to bed early is that sounds great. I'm
Right.
just gonna go to bed, and then 8:15, let's go run.
Yeah, it's funny how that will happen.
Yeah.
And then why did I do that again? I thought I was going to go to sleep early today.
Yeah, I should have just gotten to bed and went to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the first 3 apps on your phone you look at each day?
Yes, I am a big phone connector, social media person.
Okay.
Way too much, I would say.
Okay.
I am involved in a lot of different things. I'm a connector, so I'm always looking, okay, what can I say today that I can connect people to or uplift somebody or something. So I would say Facebook, TikTok, and my email. And it's not really an app, but yeah.
Okay.
So I would say that.
Which social network's your favorite?
My favorites are Facebook and TikTok.
Tell me why.
I don't know why I never really connected with Instagram. I don't know why. And I'm on X a little bit.
Yeah.
But I never really connected with that either. I think I like Facebook because on Facebook it's my friends. So I'm connecting to my friends. I'm seeing what they're doing. I'm connecting. I have a lot of different groups that I run on Facebook.
Okay.
And I feel like it's more connection to people that I know and building relationships.
Yeah.
Whereas TikTok, I like listening to it because I learn so much from it. So much. And I do definitely get sucked down. I'll have that lady come on saying, are you scrolling instead of... and I'm like, okay, I think I've been on it a little bit too, but I just scroll by her and
you just keep going,
learning.
yeah.
So you can get really sucked into it. But I have learned so much.
A ton.
And I think that's why I like TikTok, is because I really liked it better when it was shorter little clips.
Yeah, they can get lengthy.
Some of them can get very lengthy. And then I find, it's at 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Or
I've been on, I'm going to call it Twitter.
Right.
Since 2008, 2009, a long time.
Right.
And I loved the platform. It was one of the first things I would look at in the morning. It's gotten a little weird the last, say, 2 years.
Yes.
So I use TikTok as well, but I can't use it in the morning and I can't use it in the evening because I will just get sucked in. What I use often is YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
Similar interface, but similar to what you're saying, it's kind of like micro learning. I'll get like a 2-minute video on something I'm interested in, and and I don't feel so bad spending a
Just
bunch of
having
time.
the 2 minutes
Because
versus...
I'm educating myself a little bit, but I can do it while I'm getting ready in the morning
Right.
or whatever it is that I'm doing. So 20 years in business.
Right.
You started, or before you started, you dealt with a speech impediment.
Yes.
So talk to me about, did that influence you getting into this industry, and why?
Yeah. So when I first decided that I wanted to be, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went to, it was Manatee Junior College at the time, and I got my AA degree, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I went to Florida State, and I was going to do business. I don't know why I was thinking of that. I was taking accounting classes, and that was not my forte. But I remember it was the start of the next year, and I wasn't going to, I think I took a semester off or something. And my sister called me up, and she said, Noel, don't you remember that you used to want to be a speech pathologist because you used to have to go to a speech therapist when you were younger? And it was something I guess I had just forgotten. And I'm like, yes, I do want to do that. And this is a funny thing because this was so many years ago that I just remember going to the school, going to the communications department and saying, hey, I want to enroll in speech pathology. And they said, oh, just write this letter and then, do this and then you'll get in. And it happened in a matter of days, I think, my recollection. But now I would probably have to apply. I would have to interview. I would have to maybe be accepted or not. I mean, it was like totally different than it was back then.
Wow.
So when you were a speech pathologist, you also did, it was a combination speech and audiology. I didn't even know what audiology was back then. Never heard of it, didn't know what it was. Started with speech pathology and realized that that was not really something that I wanted to do. Most of the jobs were in the public schools and you had to be very creative. So I decided, I think I want to go into audiology. And so that's how the whole thing started, is from my experience with not being able to communicate, I decided I wanted to get into a field where I could help other people communicate, whether it's through speech or whether it's through hearing better.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. You mentioned knowing a previous guest on our show.
Yes.
He said it's a tight-knit, small community.
Yes.
So being that it's a small community and the fact that you're a business owner, can you think of a way that most people may not understand what goes on inside your business, whether that be just a non-entrepreneur or even a business owner like myself who's in another industry? What are some things that maybe are misunderstood about your industry?
Well, I think a lot of people think it's the widget and they don't realize it's the professional time and how we help the person accept their hearing loss, learn how to use a device, learn how to rehear. Some people just think, oh yeah, you just buy the widget and then you'll be all better. And it's not anything like that. There's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, I could see that. And I bet the people you're working with, your patients, are in a difficult time in their life. Right? They've probably started to see symptoms but don't know where to turn because there's not a ton of information out, about
or
solutions.
A lot of it may not be the best information.
That's true. Yeah, we can talk about that as well. But you're dealing with them on a difficult day, so to speak.
Oh yeah, no one comes into my office because they want to come into my office. Except we have cookies and snacks and drinks
I'd come for that.
A lovely environment and wonderful staff. But the first time they usually come in kicking and screaming. Their wife told them, finally, you better get in there, or they had an experience where they were embarrassed because they didn't hear, or they did something or said something that was inappropriate, or I always say, I don't know if you ever watched the Seinfeld show.
Yeah.
So there was an episode where Jerry didn't hear this woman talking because she was a low talker.
Okay.
And so he would just shake his head, right?
Yeah.
And so one day he shook his head and he agreed to do something for her. And what it was he signed up to be on the Today Show or some show wearing a puffy shirt, a puffy pirate shirt, right?
I remember.
So he's telling me, if you're not hearing, you may sign up to wear a puffy pirate shirt someday.
That's right. Wow, I'd forgotten about that episode. We have to look that up. Yeah, look that episode up.
Yeah. So most people don't want to be there, and the whole concept around hearing aids is negative. People will put that off for a long time because they feel like it makes them look older or that they're aging. Where really now it's so much just wonderful technology. There's so much to it that we're just trying to change the the attitude that people have about their hearing.
Do you find that, especially with your time on social media and connecting and things like that, do you find that there is misinformation about, you know, because you said the right information or
Right.
however you phrase that. I can imagine, nothing in my algorithm in my feed is, you know, hearing
Right.
related or anything like that. But I would imagine if I'm searching for things like that, I would start to see professionals or people who claim to be professionals
Yes.
pontificating.
Yes.
Is there misinformation about your industry and solutions?
Oh yeah, a lot of misinformation. I think the biggest thing is there's a whole category of hearing aids called over-the-counter hearing aids.
Okay.
Which is fine for people with mild hearing loss, maybe just starting out.
So I can just walk
But,
in and...
Yeah, you can just go to the drugstore, you can go to Best Buy.
Okay.
So this probably happened about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's a different category. There's no one-on-one connection with a provider.
Right.
So, you know, for younger people and for people that have a mild loss, you know, it might be a good solution. But a lot of those it's very confusing because the companies act like they're just as good as the expensive hearing aids.
Right.
So there's just a lot of misinformation out there. And they'll do ads where they'll even take some of my colleagues' videos and they'll use them in their own videos to try to sell these inferior products, thinking that the person doesn't know that the audiologist isn't supporting it.
No.
So there's a lot of, I would say, information that's not being very truthful about hearing devices.
What would you recommend? So somebody who's just starting to experience hearing loss, and they're on TikTok or they're, you know, whatever it is, they're going to get some information from somebody like you or maybe you directly, and then they're going to get information like what you just referenced. How do they decipher?
Right. Yeah, well, you want to go to a professional that you trust.
Okay.
And you might want to reach out to people that maybe have had that same experience and see how they decided to do something.
Yeah.
You don't want to just get information from an ad.
Yeah.
You know, and also now with AI, oh my gosh, you know, there is so much information, false information about, you think it's this person talking,
Right.
but it's not.
No, it's not.
And a lot of people can't distinguish that difference. And so they may invest in things, and you don't just buy something direct from the internet without doing a lot of research.
You shouldn't. A lot
You
of people
shouldn't.
do.
Especially something to do with your hearing.
Yeah, and that AI, it's getting better or worse depending on.
I think it's worse because it's getting more realistic.
It is. I can generally tell when it's an AI video, just being in this industry, right? But I'll admit, there's been a couple times where they got me.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was telling y'all, I saw a Dana White video. He's a fight promoter. I'm a fight fan, and you know, he routinely will pop the camera open, selfie style, and just kind of talk about, you know, an announcement. And I saw a video that a fight was called off, and I was like, oh, it's too bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's too bad. And it was
And it
completely
wasn't,
fake. I had no idea. I'm like, they got me.
Yeah, I know.
And it's getting worse.
Yeah,
You're not
I feel
gonna know.
like it is, yeah.
Let's go back to starting the business. So coming through school, you choose to be an audiologist. You were working in the field,
right?
And then you decided to start a business.
Yeah.
Why?
So a couple of things. So when I first got out of school, you had your master's degree. So you had to have your master's to be an audiologist. So I went to work for a doctor, a pretty well-known doctor in the area. And I worked there for about 14 years. I like to say I grew up there. And then we went back to school to become doctors of audiology. So they transitioned to this AUD degree.
Okay.
So you could make a choice. You could go or not, you know, and then you could decide. Or if you lived in Florida and you weren't ever going to move, you could practice with your master's
just fine.
Grandfathered in, right?
Okay.
But I decided that I wanted to go back to school, so I went to University of Florida. Florida State and University of Florida.
Oh, you did both. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so the University of Florida was one of the first programs. So when I went back there, when I went to school, I was getting my AUD, I was still working for the doctors, and I just wanted a change. I'd been there for 14 years, and it was just time for me to do something. So I ended up leaving there and working for a hearing aid company as a trainer. So I traveled all over, training offices about a specific hearing aid. It was really fun while I was going to school. And then I did some other positions in the industry where I was traveling a lot. 9/11 happened. Didn't want to travel as much.
Sure.
Somebody one of my accounts wanted to sell this office in Inglewood and move to Tennessee. So I thought, well, maybe I'll buy it and own it, but I won't necessarily work in that office.
Right.
But then things changed, and I ended up going, I thought, well, I don't really want to do this traveling job anymore. So then I transitioned to having my own office.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things in the industry, and there's a lot of opportunities as an audiologist.
Okay.
You can work for a doctor, you can work for yourself, you can work for the VA, you can work for a hearing aid manufacturer.
Company,
You can be a trainer, you can be a sales rep. Lots of different things like that.
A lot of different avenues.
Research, some people want to do the research.
Sure, because it's probably a practice area.
University, you can be a teacher.
A teacher, yeah, professor, sure, absolutely. Your favorite quote was "Do your best."
It's always do your best. Yes.
So talk to me first about why that's your favorite quote.
Yes, because I feel like a few years back I read the movie or saw the movie What the Bleep. Did you ever see the movie What the Bleep?
I don't think so.
And The Secret.
The Secret, yeah,
Secret?
sure.
So
Everybody
What
knows
the
that
Bleep was before The Secret.
Okay.
But it was that concept of just creating your own reality, right? And if you believe something, then you can create it. I mean, it just doesn't materialize.
Sure, yeah.
But one of the things was, no matter what you're doing, do your very, very best in that, and you can change the world. If you're a janitor and you're doing it with joy and connection, and you're making everyone around you feel great, that somehow changes the way people feel about their day and themselves. You know how when you interact with somebody that they just make you feel better.
Yeah, they suck the energy. Yeah.
Some do.
Or the opposite.
The opposite,
the opposite will suck the energy.
Yeah,
but
they just make you feel better. So whatever you're doing, you just do your very best, and that's going to get noticed.
Yeah, because when you're around other people, then your energy, you're increasing their energy.
Yes.
Similarly, different word. I live by this uber hyper gratitude philosophy.
Right.
And so I find that when I go into rooms and I'm around other people and I have this overt gratitude, it kind of rubs off on them, and I would say about the same.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Always do your best. Do you know the 4 agreements?
No, but I do. I want to.
Yeah. So it's always do your best, be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, don't take it personally.
That's the 4th.
So that's the 4th one.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And they're by Don Miguel Ruiz. So it's called The 4 Agreements, and I recommend everybody read it.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
When doing your best. So you're a business owner just like me.
Right.
Or human, I'll even say just like me. Sometimes doing your best, it's not enough.
Easy. Right, or it's not easy.
It's not easy too, yeah,
You might be tired at the end of the day.
Oh, Lord knows.
You just want to you don't want to do that one more thing, but I always think, this person is here, they're counting on me, so I'm going to do my best.
Yeah. Can you think of a time where you came up short somewhere? You did your best, but it wasn't enough. We all fail.
Right.
Was there something that you had to learn the hard way?
Well, right now I have a patient who I am doing my best. I am trying everything for this gentleman to try to help him hear better, and it's just not enough.
Yeah.
It's just not enough, and I haven't been able to get to the core of why. I mean, I've met with him multiple times. I've had the manufacturer come in. I've had my other audiologist work with me, and we're still not able to get him satisfied. So I'm still working with it, but I've also just offered him to give him all his money back. I would much rather do that than have somebody that is not happy with what I'm offering. Right. And I'm not sure that not everybody would do that, but to me, I'd rather do that than have somebody out there that's not happy.
Yeah, it's a difficult conundrum?
Yeah, conundrum.
Ooh, good word. You guys hear that? Good word.
That can be our word of the day.
Word of the day, conundrum. Yeah, I mean, in business you can't please everyone.
Right.
But yeah, you're doing your best. I like that. So if you're doing your best no matter what, because that's what you're committed to.
Right.
Sometimes it's not going to be enough, but you're willing to make somebody whole or make them right.
Right.
I like that. I respect that.
Yeah, thank you.
Your industry's growing. Do you feel that?
Well, I will tell you that there is a shortage of audiologists.
Okay.
And that's a big problem.
Interesting.
It's growing in terms of more people need our assistance.
Yeah.
But it's not growing in terms of the providers that are available.
You know, I live in Parish, and they're building this new hospital out there.
Oh, I didn't realize they were doing. Is it part of Manatee?
Bay First, whole hospital. And so, I'm a homeowner in Parish. I'm like, what's this going to do for my property value? So I'm researching it, and it was showing when it opens in 27, it'll bring with it 1,000 high-paying jobs. And then about 6 months after it opens, there will be this expansion of specialists. Oh. And audiologist was one of those specialties on the list.
Okay, and so interesting, because none of the other hospitals have audiology.
Well, what I was reading was in the vicinity.
Oh, like maybe as a satellite or something? Or
unaffiliated not necessarily affiliated with the hospital, but more like an ophthalmologist might have an office nearby so that the hospital could refer business, right?
Right.
And so, I'm like 1,000 new people a day move to sunny Florida.
Yeah.
They're building healthcare stuff all over the place. And it just seemed like it's a growing industry because I'm sure younger folks deal with hearing loss, but as people age.
Right, and it's a baby boomer time, and there's more and more.
Exactly, but you're saying a shortage.
Shortage. One of the concerns is that audiology is a specialty that maybe doesn't pay as much as other doctoral level professions.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of debt, so that people that are going to school now get out of school with a lot of debt, and they just don't want to do that. I feel like the younger population is making different choices. Instead of going to college, they may go to technical school.
They might,
because they've learned that going to college doesn't necessarily guarantee them a job.
No.
Whereas if they have a specific skill, that might. So one of the fields that may be growing is audiology assistants or hearing instrument specialists, because you don't need as much education for that.
I can see, I could definitely see that. And I agree, like less people are going to college. When I was coming through high school,
everyone had to go to college,
Don't
right?
laugh. The rule was either go to school or learn how to say, would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
Which, if that's your job, that's okay.
I think that was I think kids got brainwashed by that.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go to college, and they get out, and then they don't have positions.
Yeah. And admittedly, I didn't finish college.
Right.
I'm not, my route to being an entrepreneur is not one I would recommend.
Right.
But I was able to make it work.
Yeah.
And so I speak often to high schoolers, like freshmen and stuff, and usually I'm the only business professional on the stage without a college degree.
So it's important, though, that they see that.
Right, and there's always usually a male, freshman in the back, like, hey, do I have to go to college?
Right.
And I look at the teachers like, how do you want me to answer this?
Right.
Because I'm sure they want their students to go to college, but I don't know that it's necessarily.
I just think they have to have a path, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if it's college, or if it's going to technical school, or if it's knowing that you want to go into this field and you can get trained by somebody, just having that solid path, I think, is important. But I don't know that it's college for everybody.
No, agreed. I have one more thing about going back to social media. We touched on that for a sec.
Right.
But I know for me personally, when I'm dealing with like a health wellness issue, the first place I look, admittedly, is AI. Right. So what's this, blah, blah, blah. And admittedly, I've walked into an office before thinking, I already know what this is.
Right.
So have you had patients come to you feeling that they've already figured out what the problem is? They may be right, they may be wrong.
Right.
But that's something brand new to your industry. How do you deal with that?
I would say more so they might come in knowing or thinking that they know which hearing aid they want.
Okay.
But then they don't really know enough about their hearing to know if that's really the right hearing aid. It's their friend had it, they heard it, they read it, they saw it in AI. We have a colleague who's done an amazing job of introducing audiology through his videos. He started doing videos quite a few years ago and got pretty famous doing them. His name's Dr. Cliff.
Okay.
So they've watched the Dr. Cliff.
Shout out to Dr. Cliff.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Cliff. They've watched the Dr. Cliff video, and so they come in thinking they know, and it's not always that simple.
Yeah, they need to sit with a professional that can kind of guide them based on what they're really going through. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, GPT or whatever AI is going to know.
Wonderful, though.
It's wonderful. It's going to know things,
but
it's not going to know the patient the way that you can, face to face, or how. Is it all face to face? I
do all face to face, but there is a transition to more remote programming and teleaudiology, and there's a lot of, like, in Florida, our laws, you can't even you're not even supposed to mail a hearing aid to anybody. But we've had the same rules and regulations, I don't know, before I started being an audiologist, like in the 80s, right? And we haven't changed a lot of those. Now, there's definitely some concerns about, somebody could have an earful of wax, or somebody could have some kind of a tumor that's causing their hearing loss, or some other ear disease. So they should always be seen initially. But because of this new over-the-counter law and all of those things, a lot of people are maybe not a lot, but some people are not getting the one-on-one care initially. So then there's hearing aid companies that do online sales, where they'll either ship it to them, they program it at the office and then ship it. Now, we don't necessarily believe in a lot of that for that initial fitting.
Yeah, because
but it's, things are changing, and we're kind of trying to hold our stance on this is later after they've had it. That would be a good idea, but initially.
How do patients find you today?
Yeah, I think they find me. I have a lot of doctor referrals.
Okay.
I have a lot of patients. I've been there for 20 years. So I have a lot of word of mouth. I do a lot of earwax removal. Okay. So I see a lot of patients for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it that common?
It's very common.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would somebody know if they need their earwax?
They can't hear, or sometimes they watch the videos and they're like, I want to go have that done,
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever watched any of those videos.
I've seen one. I'm not watching it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people love watching those. So I have all the different tools to help clean out their ears. So.
Are you making these videos too?
No, I make some. I do. It's on my TikTok channel. Yeah. But I do mostly talk TikTok. But I do have some videos on there where I'm cleaning somebody's ears. So they may find me through just doing, because Inglewood's a small community. There's not many audiologists, so they might just type in audiologist, earwax removal, and then I come up.
And then you come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of competitors in the area. Do you find that your patients are coming from like 10 miles or something?
No,
or do they come from further?
I mean, most of my patients are pretty local. Boca Grande, Inglewood, Northport.
Gotcha.
Most people from Sarasota aren't going to drive to Inglewood.
Yeah. And even though it's really not that far, but to your point earlier, you said traffic. And I mean, when I moved here, I lived in West Bradenton, if you're familiar with that area.
Yeah.
So I lived in West Bradenton. I got a job at the Sam's Club on Fruitville Road. Right up here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. That's where I live.
It was a 20-minute drive.
Yeah. Now it's probably an hour.
At least an hour now. It would easily be an hour. So it's definitely different. What's the next 5 years look like?
Yeah, so everyone says, are you going to be here for 5 years? I love what I do still.
Yeah.
And I've carved out my life where I get to make the choices of when I'm going to work, how much I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Even though I own my own business, I've always had the stance of, if I want to be truly happy and happy in my business and do the best job I can, I'm going to work the hours I want to work. I work 3 days a week.
Okay.
My office is open 4 days a week. I have another provider.
Okay.
So she works, 4 days a week we have somebody in the office. And I do a lot of travel. I do a lot of humanitarian audiology travel. Oh. I go to meetings. So I work the hours that I want to, and that is very fulfilling to me because I never get burned out.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like, you can kind of, if you start to feel burned out, you can kind of cut it back a little bit, or vice versa.
Yeah, and of course I work more in the season because we have more people, and
it makes sense.
I have to accommodate that a little bit, but still, I just always said I was going to manage my office wasn't going to manage me. So that's how I've tried to do things.
I'm going to manage my office, my office is not going to manage me.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a bar. That's a quote. There was an entrepreneur in your seat a couple days ago who asked this question. I'm going to present this to you now. So when you started your business, you were in the industry and you were thinking about buying the place where you're at now. What gave you, how did I say it? Audacity. What gave you the audacity to bet on yourself?
Right. I think that it was just time. You know, I had done a lot in the industry, and I had seen, I think this was it too. I was a rep for a hearing aid company, so I had been into lots of different offices all over. And I would go into some offices and I would think, I don't even know how this person like exists or sells anything, or
really,
it was just different businesses. And then I'd go into other offices and I would think, oh my gosh, this is amazing, the way they do things, their procedures, their policies, this is great. And it just made me realize that if this person can do it and this person can do it, I certainly can do it as well. And so I think that really helped me, just knowing that if I was there, if I gave it my best, people would come. People would come
if you did your,
always do my best.
That's right. Yeah. Last question. There will be another entrepreneur in your seat soon. Can't tell you who they are, what industry, but if you could ask an entrepreneur a single question, what would it be?
Are you happy with what you're doing?
Are you happy with what you're doing?
Yeah. Is that like something? Are you doing it because it makes you happy? Because I don't ever think anyone should work and live their life not being content or happy. I know so many people that have positions and they hate it.
Yeah.
My sister was one of them. She had a job she hated.
Yeah.
She went to work every day hating it.
Yeah.
And I would say, honey, you can't keep doing that. You need to find a different, well, all these reasons, like, well, there's not a lot of jobs. And she was highly educated. She was a chiropractor who had moved to New Mexico, and then she got a job that wasn't chiropractic.
Right.
So she wasn't doing what she loved.
What she loved, yeah.
Yeah, but every day she hated her job, and I just would watch her and I would think, why would anyone do that?
Right.
And I feel like an entrepreneur, it's more likely that they're going to be happy because they have control of their own destiny.
And hopefully they started something that they love.
Yes, and do it with passion and always do your best.
Always do your best. Yeah, you know, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that love what they do, but I also know a lot of 9-to-5ers.
Yeah.
You know, and they make a good wage. They go on 2 vacations a year. They got a spouse and 1.5 kids or whatever it is. The average life, and they love it.
Yeah.
They're the happiest people I know.
Yeah. Some people aren't entrepreneurs. They don't want to be.
That's okay.
They want that solid.
Yeah. Yeah, but you only get one shot at this life, and we don't know how much time we get. So why spend it doing something you just don't love? So, Doctor, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.